6:31, we will call the meeting to order and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. May I please have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Thank you, Birgit. Is there support? Support. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Agenda is approved. And with that, we will turn it over to Mr. Mark Snyder for learning highlights and communications update.
Thank you very much, Danielle. Oh, booming. Okay. Does that work? Okay, well, we'll start off with the Dragon Princess Ball. There have been a lot of evening events recently in terms of at the elementary schools, enrichment services and things. And we were at actually Blanche Sims this morning. And Ken Noose was talking about the Princess Ball and how exciting it's been. And they had all the different events, and it's an opportunity, you know, and they had the dudes' night out and everything where the kids can bring their parents and really have this nice connection outside of school, but in the school at the same time. So that's kind of cool. Next. Staff honors, we're really getting into the Teacher and Staff of the Year honors. So we've had quite a bit going on in terms of the staff. At every school, we have the Teacher of the Year, the Ancillary Staff of the Year, and the Sports Staff Member of the Year. We've had, 5 schools so far. The Teachers of the Year, we'll just run through those. Ms. Ferment at Paint Creek, Ms. Stanford at Stadium Drive, Ms. Moyer at Lake Orion High School, and she'll be the representative going to Oakland Schools from Lake Orion High School. Ms. Winter at Blanche Sims and Ms. Mutter at Oakview. So it's very exciting. And Shannon Chase, who works in the kitchen at Oakview, is our Support Staff Member of the Year. So she'll advance the Oakland Schools as well. Athletics, we've had quite a bit of going on. We had 2 Dragon skiers who placed in the top 10 at divisionals, Cooper J and Marcel A, that were 4th and 6th, and in the slalom, Marcel placed 1st and Cooper placed 6th, so that was exciting. The figure skaters of skate, we've talked about Josh Snyder before, and we have a combined team with Rochester United, and so they skated the way to the district championship as part of that, so that was very exciting. They qualified for the states on March 22nd. The LO skaters on the team, Josh Snyder, Elise Alvey, Elizabeth Jublett, Bella Garnett, and Anna Wang. And then the Dragon Wrestlers won the OA Red League. Congratulations to the Dragon athletes on their signing days. We had 3 signing, and that was last week, a signing day ceremony. We had Addison in swimming, Laylee in track and field, and Malik in football. And Dr. Hess congratulated junior Lily Jekyll, sorry. What? Jekyll, sorry. Lily Jekyll, thank you. My apologies. Who was called up to the U.S. U18, U19 Youth National Team and went to Florida last month to participate in the team camp. Great job, Lily. Then the next one, accounting. We had a group of students who went to the MICPA High School Accounting Leadership Conference held at Oakland University. They were in roundtable discussions with CPAs to learn more about the accounting profession. So that's exciting opportunities for them. The Science Discovery Night at Paint Creek is always a hit. Heidi was there, it was filled with people. And there was all of these different things, and the students have their projects, and there's interactive things with the robotics teams and everything, which is very exciting. The Art Awards, Emma B. and Adam F. both had pieces accepted into the K-12 NC ESA Ceramics Competition this year. It's a nationwide competition, and only 150 out of 1,000 entries were chosen. The LOHS Wind Ensemble shared the stage with all 3 middle school cadet bands, and they had a special guest clinician from Oakland University, spent the day with them. The DECA students competed, and 33 DECA students advanced. They got medals, and they're going to go to the state competition, which is in Detroit on March 5th to 7th. Mr. Dolly at Oakview was selected as the 2028 MSVA State Honors Choir Director. It's a very prestigious honor, so that's exciting for him. He has students, Vera, Peyton, Aubrey, and Charlotte, who sang with the MSVA State Choir Honors. And Miles Kreiner, who we've heard about before, was amazing. He's Second year in a row, MSBOA Middle School All-State Orchestra, 2,760 students auditioned for the All-State Assemblies. He won the principal string bass seat, making him the #1 middle school string bassist in the state of Michigan. So pretty cool for Miles. The Hall of Fame, we seem to have Hall of Famers all the time. Our latest one is Andrew Schramek, who's a high school teacher and our baseball coach. He went into the Michigan Coaches Baseball Hall of Fame. He was inducted in January, so that was very exciting for him to represent. He's always represented the district very well, including winning a state championship, so we're really proud of him. And then finally, the Robotics Expo was held in January. I think Heidi attended that. And as we've talked about, the robotics elementary students do all their stuff in the fall, leading into December, and then in January they put a show on for each other and for all of the people across the district at Stadium Drive to see all of what every team's been doing. So very exciting, and I think that's it. Any questions?
Awesome. Questions or comments for Mark?
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. This evening, we do have a couple of presentations, so I'll turn it over to Drew to get us started on that.
All right, thank you. Our first presentation tonight, I'm excited to welcome our LOHS leadership team. It's here to give us some updates from the high school, so welcome.
And I will just say, we did learn from public participation or things last time, you guys need to stand right in front of the mic in order for more of the people at home to be
Okay.
able to hear you. So just a reminder now.
I just hit the right arrow. Okay. All right, so we're from the leadership class at Lake Orion. I'm Vikram Patil, the vice president of the E-Board. Here I'm with Joey.
Yeah, my name is Joey Gonzalez. I am the Community Public Relations Officer for the Lake Orion Leadership class.
And we're just gonna give you guys a quick update what we've been up to the past couple months. So we just wrapped up Q2 recently, and some of our big committees here were the food drive and Giving Tree. The food drive, we got thousands of cans, donated them to Orion Oxford Fish and the Lions Club. We had a pretty good turnout. We started with new prizes this year for kids to enter raffle tickets based on how many cans they had. And we had Mr. Kopek, a history teacher. He's pretty notorious for always bringing in the most. Over 1,000 food items donated by just his class, yeah. So the Giving Tree went on as well for a month, and we adopted many families. We had a tree out in the main commons of our school. Students could get the ornaments and then donate, and those were delivered to many families in need.
Yeah, so towards the middle of January, we hit our 11th annual Sellout for Soldiers event. These were just some pictures taken of that day. And with the cell phone policy throughout the school, we thought it would be a challenge to kind of get everyone to participate. But since it's kind of notorious around our school and uber exciting and kind of creating such an energy with our students, it went really well. And it was perceived really good. And we kind of had heroes around the community for our charity, our volleyball assembly, and that went really well. And it was just a great day, so, yeah.
All right, so moving on to this quarter, we are currently working and planning for our Charity Week fundraising. So we talked to OYA, which is the Orion Area Youth Assistance League, I believe, and they are the charity that we are going to be donating to this year. Throughout the week, some of our events include the charity volleyball game, which is very fun. Students can compete and make teams, all grade levels and students. Coin stalls, also a very popular one, where students bring in coins and class doesn't start until the teachers can count every single coin. And then the Family Feud game on the top right there, that's also pretty popular. Students can make teams of around 5. And then it's just a fun Family Feud game that happens during class. And students, if they aren't participating, they can still buy a ticket that goes to charity and watch from the auditorium.
Oh, yeah. And some other events that we have going on that week. We have Elo's Got Talent on March 11th. And that kind of is a high school talent show, essentially. And the coolest part about that is we just kind of bring together all grade levels during an hour of the day to just watch and see some great talents that our student body has. Dragon Plunge is where we get in the pool in the like aquatic natatorium, and we have teams of people, some friends, some like sports teams, some clubs build cardboard boats. And it's just kind of a cool thing to get our students excited and for a good cause as we do charge. And it'll benefit OYA, again, like Vikram had said. And then our Unified Assembly, which is happening Friday, March 13th, which is our special education basketball team. We bring together kind of all of the student body to watch a game. We are, I believe, playing against Rochester, like their United Unified basketball team. And yeah, it's just overall going to be a really exciting day. Energy is going to be very high, and yeah, it'll be exciting.
All right, and then lastly, so the charity week, different events, those are committees that people are in from our Q3 class. So the committees are made up of 4 or 5 students. One of our committees this quarter that we want to highlight is the Strive for a Safe Drive. So MDOT, the Michigan Department of Transportation, actually nominated Lake Orion High School they chose us as one of few schools to market for their campaign. And basically students in this committee are looking at ways to market, find fun, interactive activities and experiences so that students can become better and safe drivers. This includes like simulations at lunch. Sometimes they'll do like fun activities where you see what it's like driving under the influence with like goggles that make you really dizzy and try to walk straight. So you know that how to stay safe, and it's all from Michigan Department of Transportation. I think that's all we have. Do you guys have any questions for us?
Questions? Birgit, go ahead.
Just curious, do you have a total that you raised for sellout?
Did we get a confirmed number? I'm not quite sure
Ballpark?
on the exact number, but we could send you an update if you would like.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's probably a good number, so yeah.
Of course, I have no doubt.
But yeah, no, like we were talking about, sellout went amazing. It was our 11th year, and we are going to continue it into our next year.
Wonderful.
But yeah.
Love that you do it. Thanks for your time
I
tonight.
like what you did there. Let it marinate. If you don't know the answer, you can come back with it.
Yeah,
You handled that well.
there you go.
Right, awesome. Well, thank you so much for.
Yeah,
being
thank you
here.
guys.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Have a good night. Okay.
All
next up,
right.
Jay.
Thanks, gentlemen. Our next presentation, we have had a number of our elementary staff hard at work looking at a new ELA curriculum. And so I am excited to welcome a number of our elementary staff led by Kate and Carrie here this evening to share some updates with you. So welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm going to introduce who is going to speak tonight. We have Kate DeMio, who's our Student Services Coordinator. We have Michelle Smith, who's a kindergarten teacher at Weber. Lori Van Arsdale, who's a kindergarten teacher at Stadium Drive. Bree Metz, who is a 4th grade teacher at Orion Oaks. Emma Paluja, who's a 2nd grade teacher at Orion Oaks. And Sarah Dabrowski, who's a 3rd grade teacher at Stadium Drive. This is just a sample of the staff who joined in this pilot. So I appreciate them taking time away from their families tonight to be here. So first, we just want to talk about why did we start this journey to a new ELA curriculum. And mostly it started with the state of Michigan passed a dyslexia law in October of 2024. And with that law, it came, the legislation came with that districts had to have a curriculum that was aligned to the science of reading research that has been coming out, which we should be reviewing our curriculum at all levels, all the time, because instructional practices evolve, research evolves, and we need to make sure that we're staying current. So that's one of the reasons why we started this. MDE came out with an approved list of curriculums you could look at that they felt were aligned with the science of reading research. We had a very short time to pick from that list, about a month. I think Kate and I met with each vendor. And then we also ultimately landed on CKLA Amplify because it also had a 98% overall score from the state of Michigan, which was their highest rated comprehensive curriculum, which is what we were looking for. We had heard from teachers that our learners are changing, our teachers are changing, and we really needed to look at a comprehensive curriculum, not just a phonics program or a vocabulary program. We really needed to look at a comprehensive program. And they, for the first time, put money behind, if you adopt a curriculum, the state of Michigan put money behind it in the form of a 35M grant that you could apply for. But when we applied for it, we had to choose which curriculum we would spend the money on. So we told the teachers, we're gonna apply for the money. We're telling them we're gonna purchase CKLA, which we did purchase for the pilot teachers. But if the teachers feel that this program is not for our students, we will not go forward with it. That isn't how they felt. You'll hear that tonight. But we felt we really needed to pilot the materials. We can't just make a decision for our whole district without having this information and put it in front of our own students to see how it goes. So that's where we are tonight. So we had 27 teachers who actually piloted the first semester. 4 more teachers have joined in, along with our instructional coaches who supported all of the teachers. This was a pretty big pilot. Probably spent about $90,000 from that grant money on this pilot. We don't generally have this many teachers on a pilot, but we felt every grade level is represented, every every school is represented. We felt really good about this group. And I want to thank all of them because this was a huge undertaking, very, very big undertaking. And they all did it gracefully.
Hi, good evening. Hopefully I'm close enough because I'm short.
You're good.
So the teachers who began the pilot in September also took on a 150-hour course, essentially. It was a professional development program called Letters that was offered to us through the state, and it was based on the science of reading. This has been an amazing experience, honestly, because every single concept that we were learning through this training was solidly based in science, which is incredible when, we can have the experience of going back to essentially school to learn new things, to improve our craft, right? So as we're going through, the focus is on language acquisition and how the brain learns to read and write. This work prepared us to really critically look at the curriculum. We knew the science, so now we could look at the curriculum and see how they went. CKLA is literally the same graphics you will see in the research is in this. So you're gonna see it from CKLA. It's built all on the same research. So this graphic is a very simple view of reading. It's set up like a multiplication table because you have word recognition and language comprehension, with the product being reading to gain meaning. If either of those two are lacking in any way, the end result goes down exponentially. So we need to make sure that both are equally as strong from day one of kindergarten. CKLA brings that all together in one program. So in this slide, this is really the backbone of how we teach kids to read. You'll see the top part is language comprehension, and all of that goes in with there. And then at the bottom is word recognition. So it kind of weaves together like a rope, two separate, and then they weave together. This is probably the best example that I found. In the past, we supplemented our ELA curriculums. It was aligned with science, but we still had to add more. As we learned more, We needed to do better for our kids. We needed tools that would address our lowest learner abilities as well as our highest kids. So what we were noticing is that this program, through these, all the separate areas, every child has been challenged, because there are so many different facets that every child has been challenged. So just perspective of how this exciting for teachers is. In kindergarten, I was planning 6 different ELA components for 5 days a week. So that's 30 lessons, and that's just ELA. That's not even the rest of the day. It was a challenge to make sure that everything fell in line and made sense along the way. So with CKLA, everything is brought together. The skills that we're learning during one block of time relates to the vocabulary and the background knowledge piece. It's all integrated. Huge time saver. However, I am learning so much. It's incredible. So I'm spending more time reading probably, but the way that I can see my kids reacting, it is so worth it. So 2 lessons a day, we have all of these strands in the rope coming together, and it's all connected. What's also awesome, it's easy to break into chunks. So when my smallest learners need a break, you know, we only sit for 15 minutes in kindergarten, let's be real, we gotta move. It's naturally sectioned off that we can stop, do a little something, come right back, do a little something, come right back. So it's offering flexibility so that we can still, you know, honor what kindergarten and all of our elementary is like, but also know that they're getting the quality content and support that they need.
Okay. Good evening. As Michelle stated, our 2 components of CKLA is the knowledge strand and also our foundational skills. The knowledge strand is built on the building of the knowledge and the vocabulary around different kinds of units of study. Currently in kindergarten, we are studying Native American cultures and how the environments had directly affected how people had food, shelter, and water, which also coincides with our science curriculum as well. Our kinders love learning the new vocabulary that we do in the knowledge. Each lesson of the units will be a new vocabulary word that will be introduced. And it's funny because even our youngest learners, I heard them the other day, they were eating snack and they said, "These strawberries are so succulent." I was like, oh. So, but they really love, because you really emphasize it and they start to use it and they will go home and they will use it. In addition, with this vocabulary, there's also a push for the comprehension with a lot of higher order thinking skills. A lot of higher order questioning, there's a lot of turn and talk. For our youngest learners, it's learning how to talk, how to listen, how to agree, and how to disagree. In kindergarten, our students are learning how to answer in a complete sentence. So if we ask them a question, they will give you their answer in a complete sentence. They're also using prepositions to learn how to take those 2 sentences and put them together. It also has a writing component. Now, the writing component through K2 still goes all across. It has an informational, it has a narrative, and it also has an informational, narrative, and opinion across. In our youngest learners, we're actually using, in kindergarten, graphic organizers for them to learn. When we did the unit on farms, they actually had to look through books. They had to write down in an organization on why they think this animal should be part of their farm. And so they gave their opinion, and they had reasons to back it up. When we talk about the skills unit, I've been so impressed, and I've been around a while, but I've been so impressed on the way that CKLA has taken a go slow to go fast approach. Each unit is very in-depth. It's a small unit, we cover a small amount, but it cycles. And then we add a little bit more, and then add a little bit more. It's very systematic as well as sequential. There are 44 phonemes in the English language, and there's 150 ways to spell them. In kindergarten, we are learning the 44 phonemes. We start by learning the sounds, then we learn how to map those sounds to write and read words. We also have decodable books, that all grade levels use to practice those skills that we are learning. With today's technology, some of our youngest learners are coming in with some challenges with some fine motor skills, especially holding a pencil or a tripod grip. CKLA actually goes way back to the basics and really backs it up. They teach our kids how to hold the pencil. We are learning vertical lines, horizontal lines, our kindergartens knows left to right. And they learn this by learning to shake their hands with their right hands to each other. The content skills are directly related in what we are learning in our letters training, as Michelle had stated. CKLA has taken us back to the basics, but still pushes our kids forward. I have had even kids that have come in reading are still challenged every single day. And my students that need a little extra support are supported every single day. As you can see, the progression of our skills through kindergarten through second grade, what I thought was most interesting about this slide, and when we were looking at CK overall, is the way that in kindergarten, as you can see in the red, but in grade 1, before grade 1 even goes into new content, they review the last 2 skills that were in kindergarten. And then, if you notice in grade 2, they actually review 3 units of grade 1 before they even move on to the content of grade 2. This really helps for the solidification of all the skills, and as we know, some kids with our summer slide, this helps me ensure that we're not having that and we're getting them right back into it.
There. I'm going to give you a little taste of 3rd, 4th, and 5th. I teach 3rd grade at Stadium, Sarah Dabrowski. Each unit of this program in 3rd, 4th, 5th is comprised of lessons including reading, writing, vocabulary, grammar, morphology, and spelling activities. Instead of very separate and isolated blocks, as what Michelle mentioned earlier, during our day, reading and writing are now intertwined. The vocabulary our students are being introduced to and using throughout the lessons continues to blow me away. Back in Unit 2, my students were identifying and naming when an author used anthropomorphism. And if you're unsure of what that is when they attribute human traits and emotions to animals. My 3rd graders are currently learning about our solar system. We are learning some amazing new vocabulary such as asteroid belts and aeronautics. I am also learning too. Grammar and spelling are linked within our lessons. We recently talked about the conjunctions the author used to show cause and effect. One of our spelling words from a recent lesson was Jupiter, as we studied patterns and rules for the J sound. The writing component of this program is enhanced through our shared reading and learning experience. This approach has enriched not only the quality of writing, but their vocabulary, peer feedback, and elaboration. The shared speaking and listening, along with the knowledge portions of the lessons, spark amazing conversations that lend itself to quality writing. Throughout the units, teachers are also going to be presented with numerous opportunities to review, reinforce, or extend the content and skills taught in each unit.
Hi, everyone. I'm Emma, and I teach 2nd grade this year, but I've had the privilege of teaching 4th, 3rd, and now 2nd, so I keep cycling through. So what I love about this program is I'm that teacher that has access to all the curriculums, and I'm in there seeing what everyone's going to learn at each grade level, because that's just how my brain works. And one thing that I will say about this program is it is so cohesive. They did not leave one single element out. Like they said, everything is comprehensive. You're not supplementing anything. You're not spending extra time looking for vocab words to embed or building background knowledge. It's all well thought out for the teachers, for the students. And the best thing is the students are so engaged. Like they get excited to take tests. Like, what is wrong with you guys? Like, they're like, when's our domain assessment for ancient Greece? I'm like, okay, it's coming up. But they've learned so much, and in 2nd grade, I've taught them about, we started off slow with like fairy tales and tall tales. Kids are going home and asking parents to go to the library to look up more information. And then we got into ancient Greece, and now I'm standing up at night figuring out how to pronounce these names. And then that led us into Greek mythology, and the kids ate that up. And we ended up having a Greek party to celebrate that. And now we learned about insects. We have bugs on wheels coming out tomorrow. We are learning now about the Civil War, and the kids are very engulfed in that information. They're learning 5 to 7 vocabulary words each day, and they're using it. And they're making connections from previous units, which is so beautiful to see. And then my son's in 4th grade, he's next door, and he's coming home. He's like, Mom, I gotta teach you about the Middle Ages. Did you know this and this and this? So I'm having conversations with my own child at home about what he's learning in school. And he loves to learn anything, so he's like, why didn't I learn about ancient Greece and all that last year? I'm like, sorry, bud, I'll teach you now. And now I even, like we said, we can push students, so everybody's like having they're all being met, like there's no, what did we say? Where we're closing the gap, like even like everything that they're writing about, it's what they're reading, it's what they're learning. So nobody's feeling left behind. We're leveling the playing field, but also the kids that are like really into learning and it can be pushed further. They're my kids now that, because they loved Greek mythology, they're reading 5th grade and 6th grade books, and they're reading the Percy Jackson series, and they're on the 3rd or 4th book right now, and watching the show on the weekend. So, and parents, even at conferences, are so impressed with their kids' handwriting, the fact that they're punctuating correctly, that their spelling's improving, that they're talking about what they're learning in school. So honestly, the background knowledge that's being built in, the depth of the content, the vocabulary that the kids are using day to day, everything's, and all of the units cover literature, art, science, social studies, and it kind of weaves in. So like every other grade level, kindergarten's learning about Native Americans, they're gonna learn about it again in 2nd grade, or 3rd grade, and then in 1st grade, kids are learning about American independence, then they learn about Civil War, then they're gonna learn about the American Revolution. So it's just all building on itself, which is really beautiful to see. And now there's room for celebrations too. So we're bringing some fun back into the classroom as well, which the kids are excited about. All right, that's enough yapping. I'll see you in a minute.
And I'm going to talk about the other half of this chart. You should have this. I think it's on page 14 and 15 of your CKLA booklet you got there if you want to take a peek at it. So the spiraling approach is easy to see when you look at this slide. You can kind of see all those lines connecting there. Key topics are revisited multiple times with increased depth throughout our students' education. What an amazing tool that we are being given here of a spiraling curriculum for us as educators to build up every single student's background knowledge. Not every student we welcome into our classroom has the same life experience. Background knowledge, though, is essential to building strong comprehension skills. For example, upper elementary students are building on their world geography lessons from kindergarten as they explore Native Americans, the American Revolution, and the early Americas, Maya, Aztec, and Inca. Then, these same topics are explored even more in their middle school social studies curriculum. Upper elementary students are also learning about planets, solar system, and oceans. These are such exciting topics. One highlight for my 3rd graders was the Rise and Fall of Ancient Rome unit. Not only did they fall in love with the conflict, stories, myths, and legends, they made connections, unprompted, to the way Julius Caesar conquered new lands, to what we were studying in social studies when the French began to come to America. Students were also making seamless connections to our weather and climate science unit throughout our fur, fins, and feathers animal classification unit. This curriculum has our students thinking like historians, scientists, asking questions and making constant connections. These are the practices that we want all our learners to use in all academic areas now and throughout their education.
I'm Brian, I'm a 4th grade teacher. So here are a few of our student quotes. About CKLA, students are excited and consistently asking in my classroom, when is CKLA? Are we doing CKLA today? Who knew the Middle Ages could be so entertaining for them? Students report that CKLA lessons are engaging and enjoyable with very interactive discussions between each other and our whole group. They engage with meaningful text, and they're also successful when they're able to collaborate and extend their knowledge beyond what is in front of them. There are clear routines and shared reading experiences within CKLA that help students feel supported and confident within their learning. Students appreciate learning all the new vocabulary, all of the topics together, which makes understanding the text way easier. Students are excited about learning all of these abstract concepts and are taking them home to their families to discuss. One of my favorite quotes is how they love learning about ancient Rome. Just like the Middle Ages, Rome is a topic that wouldn't normally be in an elementary school classroom per se, but bringing this knowledge background in really helps them to level the playing fields when it comes to all the content.
And just add on these pictures too, the bottom two are from your class, Emma?
Yes.
That's the Greek party she had.
My dad made spinach pie and everything. We had togas.
So similar to our students, parents are also loving CKLA, which we did not see coming at all. Parents have reported an increase in confidence and enjoyment in their child's reading at home. Families have noticed growth in their vocabulary and comprehension through the CKLA text and discussions, and they appreciate that the students are working within the grade level text while still receiving the support if needed. And then many families value the clear structure and consistency that CKLA provides across all of the classrooms. And they share that their children are coming home and willing to talk more about how their school day was and not just saying, yeah, it was good. They're able to remember and recall what we learned that day and explain to them what was going on. One of my favorite quotes, it's actually one of my parents, talks about how Andy came home beaming with excitement about the game show and how our Unit 4 is a Eureka game show, student inventor, it's a biography unit, and we dress up and make it very special but still engaging and academic at the same time. And she is very grateful. That's something that Andy will hold on with forever. Thank you.
Hi, it's me again. So the pilot teachers have dubbed me the Boost Queen because I am so excited about this. So on top of the program being so cohesive and well thought out, they also have a student-driven digital component that is insanely amazing. So students at the beginning of the year, actually 3 times a year, they take this benchmark assessment when they first log in, and the program creates a personalized instruction plan for them. And then at the beginning of each month, they do a monthly skill scan as well, and it reassesses where they're at. And then it creates goals for them and things that they need to work on. So all of those skills that were on the reading rope, that's all in the digital program. And kids are working at their own pace. The program is most successful if the kids are on it 10 to 15 minutes, 3 times a week, so 30 to 45 minutes a week. And there's differentiation for all students. If a student is struggling with a skill, they remediate for them, and they reteach it multiple times, and then they reassess the student. And if that student fails that skill at least 3 times, it flags it as a trouble spot. And then when we pull our reports, the teachers can, it gives us a PDF version of activities you can do with that student and remediate one-on-one. And then it'll move them on to something else, and then it'll revisit it back so that way that skill's not forgotten and they can still have time to remaster it. So it honestly is amazing for intervention time. So if I'm meeting with students or small groups, I know that the students are on their computers, they're engaged. I can see how many minutes they're on there for, or if they're goofing off, hey, you got 0 minutes logged, what are we doing? But not just that, they actually look forward to boost time. They want to be on there, and they're truly engaged the entire time. There's reports that we can see all the time, like the teachers can just log in, and those are all the different skills that are on there, and it tells you if the kid placed out on those skills, if they're on grade level, if they're below grade level. And then there are things you can print out. So if you notice that there's a student that's below grade level on multiple skills, you can create an intervention plan for those students and meet with them and have more personalized instruction. And you know that the other students are still engaged. And I give the students the option during intervention time, and I say, like, once you meet your 30 minutes for the week, you guys can read your independent books. So some kids are still reading chapter books, some are reading on Epic, but some remain on Boost. In either way, I know all my students are getting exactly what they need during that time. And it's intentional, and it's purposeful, and engaging. So, and it gives me a chance to meet with the students, to conference with all of them. And I know that the other ones are engaged. And then there's one more report that we can pull. There's a caregiver report. I think it's on the next slide. Yep. And so this kind of gives you an idea. Are students meeting their minutes each day? If they're not, like, what is going on? And it tells you, like, how many goals they've met, which skills they're working on, which activities they're working on, which ones they're in progress, which ones they still need to start. And it kind of gives you, like, a quick snapshot of where each kid is at, if you'd like to print those reports. And I think I'm done for today. Thank you.
Well, I'll talk to you a little bit about the data. So first, I do want to caveat, like, this was only a 3.5-month pilot. Technically, most data does not show the effects of a curriculum. It can be as many as 3 years before you see the effects. So we were a little reluctant to even pull it. We were like, oh, do we pull it? And then we pulled it. Like, okay, so there's two ways that you look at this. The first way you look at it is if we just look at the amount of growth kids had. So if you look at the amount of, each dot, so every single dot there is a classroom in our district. That's the average. The yellow dots are the classrooms using our current curriculum. The green dots are the classrooms using the new curriculum, okay? And so what you can see, like, as you kind of move across, is what you're looking for, this is the end game, you're looking for kids that have high growth and high proficiency. Those would be in the top corner, where you see 2 green dots and no yellow dots. Interesting, right? Okay, now where you don't want to be is low growth, low proficiency, the opposite corner, where you maybe see 1 green dot. Like, we found that really, really interesting. You'll see that, so you're reading it 2 ways. You go from left to right, you're going from low growth to high growth. You want lots of dots in that high growth. And then from bottom to top, you go to proficiency. So you want those green dots should be higher up on the page. So we were, again, it's only 3.5 months, but this is super promising data for us. Like, this really gives us the feeling that this data looks like it's going to move in the right direction. Yeah, sure. The lines, okay, so the line is a trend line. So that's showing you, like, where everybody started. And then as you go across, what's our projection for where they're going to be at? And what's really interesting is you see how they start out. The green line's kind of lower, sort of in the middle, and then you see that that green line really extends kind of beyond. So that, again, hopeful and promising early indicators. The company gives you a lot of data to support, and we read through, like, volumes and volumes of studies from the Department of Education and from the company, but the one study that really stood out for us, especially considering our school improvement goal, if you look at finding number 2, which is the income achievement gap. And so a good effect size is like 0.9. And the effect size for this program is 1.32 or 1.29. The effect size for low economic kids. So basically what's happening is it's what all of my colleagues were sharing, which is that when you even the playing field, when you teach them things and then have them write about it, they write more than when you say, write about your weekend, right? They have things, they can all have the same experiences. So we also are really hopeful that we're gonna see some of our lower income kids really rise up
because they have the same opportunities as their peers. And then in this last data slide, one more. This is actually Lori's data. This is from Lori's class. But I find this data really, okay, so the green bubble, remember that's the high growth, high achievement. That's 12 of her students. The 6, that's the yellow, high growth, even though they're not quite where they need to be. And only 1 kid in her room did not make growth. Like, only 1 kid had that low growth. So again, just all really good early indicators that this data is pointing us in the right direction and that this is the right decision for us.
Okay, so on the screen, you will see MOI data that represents 4 different students in our, 4 different types of students in our district. Students with IEPs, EL learners, students that had large growth that started low and increased, and then our students that are already high achievers that continue to push themselves and grow. So based on the data that we've collected so far, CKLA is having a positive impact on student learning across all of our groups. We're seeing growth in literacy skills for students with IEPs, English learners, and those students performing below grade level, as well as those students that already are performing at or above grade level. CKLA's structured knowledge building approach provides consistency, access to rigorous content for all learners while still allowing for small group intervention and to help those that are struggling. Struggling students are gaining confidence and skills, and those advanced students also continue to be challenged through complex text and more writing activities.
So we surveyed all of the pilot teachers, and from that survey, here's just a few things we found. 100% of the pilot teachers felt that CKLA vocabulary is superior to our current program. 100% of them felt that CKLA has a better scope and sequence for print, grammar, conventions, and consistent with current research. 100% of them felt that the CKLA supports executive functioning skills for students, which carries across their whole day, not just ELA. And 100% of the teachers felt that CKLA is stronger with phonics and phonemic awareness. So this team is recommending that CKLA amplify for the K-5 literacy curriculum adoption going forward. And Sarah's gonna share your teacher voice on this.
I'm going to be honest, because it took me some time to fall in love with this curriculum. I've been teaching in Lake Orion for 22 years, been around. I loved teaching reading and writing workshop and was very confident in my craft and was a bit skeptical that a new program was going to wow me as an educator and work for my 3rd graders. But in the back of my mind, though, over the last few years, I felt and I knew we needed a change. What we needed, we didn't know what that looked like, but our learners are changing. The world is changing, teachers are changing, school's changing. Along comes CKLA, and it's a big change, big change. But it didn't take long for me to have a change of heart and mindset. I am passionate because my students are passionate. This is 100% about them. Their excitement and curiosity for these unique and interesting topics, people, time periods, and places is at an all-time high. I know a few of us have mentioned parents, but I had a family reach out to me asking for even more at home to learn and talk together about because they're so excited about what their kids are reading and learning about, and that just doesn't happen. But parents don't do that. That doesn't happen. The advanced vocabulary, shared texts, writing based on our shared learning is making my classroom an amazing place to learn. All levels of learners are challenged and feel good about themselves as readers, writers, and researchers. We're currently in Unit 5, and the passion and excitement hasn't dwindled. I could not finish my speaking and listening lesson today because of all the questions and just the conversation. It's amazing. It has not dwindled. But it's truly an amazing movement to experience. So, thank you.
Then we get to the budget. And the total cost for this program for 3 years is $945,000. We did receive the 35M grant that we can apply towards this, which was $614,553. So that leaves Lake Orion's contribution to this program at $331,000. Remember, with this legislation comes this caveat that if you don't have a science of reading, research-based curriculum in place, there is a potential that the state could ding you 5% of your student foundation allowance. So you also would have to write a letter to your community stating why you have not chosen to adopt one of those MDE-approved programs. So, and then the other piece of this is this 35M grant that we already applied for and got the money for. We have to spend it by September 30th of this year. So it's not money we can hold on to and wait another year. We have to have it spent by the end of this year. And now we will come to questions that you may have for us.
Thank you. First,
Yes.
everyone. Questions? Birgit, kick us off.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for being here tonight. And I want to thank you for your enthusiasm. I appreciate the information that you presented to us and the heartfelt effort you put in with it. It's very noticeable when someone comes up here and just speaks, and when someone comes up here and shares their heart, and which you all did tonight. And what excites me about that is, you said, Sarah, that it was the students that made you most excited. Exactly. So what strikes me as interesting in this is when we talked about data earlier, when you talked about data earlier, 31 teachers were participants in this, right? And with just 3.5 months in, which is a relatively short time to pilot, but usually pilots are with a lot smaller number of participants. So I feel like the data that you have presented us with tonight is pretty solid. I have a question for you on that data, and I'm going to go to the scatter points, the yellow and green dots. And that is that's after the 3.5 months, is what I heard you say?
This is our current middle of the year STAR data that we give every student. So we pulled out, and obviously we know what teachers are piloting and what teachers are not. So we pulled and put this is every elementary classroom that gives that test on this chart.
So, and I know you gave also data that showed, a little harder to show, I'm the visual, and this, a few slides. That one, thank you.
So this
and I
is
know that's
also-
loaded with information, but it's just harder for me to
No, this is
contrive it
also
out of here.
STAR data. So if you look like at the first one was a student with an IEP.
Yes.
And the first test on 9/11/25 was their BOY test.
Right.
And then they took it again on January 14th. That was their MOY test.
Beautiful, and that goes in for all of these.
And right, and we kind of said then there's a student that who was a high student who even went higher. Then we have the student, the third one down, who is a student with very large growth, right? They went from 963 to 991, put them in a whole different category. So, and then we have another student who speaks English as a second language, and the amount of growth that they've had between the BOY and MOY.
So if we were to plot, and whoever did the plotting between you and Kate can speak to this, if on that dotted chart, we were to plot before you did the pilot.
We didn't do that, but
I would love to see that comparison. Not that changes my opinion at all. It's just a data point that I'm curious to see the dramatic change in that. But I just really appreciate.
Well, we can sort of do that. Yeah. We can show you proficiency.
Right.
But this exact chart shows growth, and we wouldn't be able to show that.
Right.
But we could show the number of kids that were proficient before.
And growth does not equal proficiency, and
No.
yet there is a correlation.
Right.
So
So some of the kids will have high growth, like there was that one couple of kids from Lori's room. They have great growth, but they're not proficient yet.
Right.
Like we're waiting.
You're getting there.
Yeah. But yeah, we can pull the proficiency data.
Just from my experience, I had 2 kids that couldn't even get into STAR reading because they were so low. They had to take their early literacy. And now one is in blue. And he went from reading 15 words per minute to 70 pounds. And like the other one went from like, okay, he was brought up to 3 pounds, and all that last year in 5 years, and now she's in yellow. So, and again, she went from 14 words per minute to
So our teachers kind of go by color, so we have red, yellow, blue, then green is the top.
And you can just tell by the sheer number if that, when those little reading tests, I remember those. That's significant. I have one other question before I'll defer to anybody else. The PD you all talked about, 150 hours that all 31 teachers took to prepare for this.
That was, well, they haven't,
No,
they're
not to
still
prepare.
taking it. They're still taking it.
Thank you.
It's a 2-year program. It's called Letters Training that the state offers. It's free to take the program, but it's a commitment of 150 of their personal hours to do it. And one of the things we asked the committee before they signed up was, you have to commit to doing the letters training, because we need this group of teachers who's going to eventually teach, if this goes through and you approve it, who's going to teach all the other teachers the background. They need to know the science really well. They need to be able to then pass it on to their colleagues in their grade level going forward with our PD plan.
So that was going to be my question leading into that. So would all staff be doing that, or are the teachers teaching the teachers?
Right now, letters training, we're not, teachers can take it if they choose to, but this group was part of that. So no, not every teacher will have it, but they have the background so that when they are doing the PD, which that was another piece of it, is even though you're on the pilot committee, you need to be expected that we're going to lean on you to teach your colleagues when we roll this out. And so they have that background, that research that they can share with their colleagues.
Thank you.
Others?
I also want to thank everyone here and those that aren't here in the group that participated. This was a big lift. In the curriculum committee, we've talked about this a lot and appreciate all you guys coming tonight and coming to the curriculum committee. Something that I wanted to share that we discussed in the curriculum committee is our current curriculum. As I understand it, we implemented that 20 years ago. And I know you touched on it. Our learners are changing. So that's what's really driving this as well. The curriculum that we're currently using hasn't grown with our students. Is that a correct statement?
Yes, we feel that the units of study that we currently use for Readers and Writers Workshop is aligned with the science of reading. But there's a portion of that, the phonics piece, that we've had to supplement. And that's where we're getting into. Right now, we're supplementing, we're adding things to it, which this becomes a comprehensive program for teachers, so they don't have to go to different programs and try and figure out how to add that. So, yes.
Those teachers are doing that individually, so you don't have consistency across the class.
Yes, yes.
Anything else? What I was going to comment on, Susan, is consistency. I literally wrote the word down, that this is super exciting, because I know all of our teachers do a great job of supplementing, but this just doesn't matter if you're at Orion Oaks, Blanche Sims, Stadium, like every teacher has the same materials all the time, which.
And knowing you have to review a curriculum because everything evolves, instructional process evolve, research evolves, you have to be changing curriculum. The state actually is giving us money. Why would we not take the money to implement something like this? Like, it's a big lift, right? This could be a $945,000 price tag to the district if the state didn't back it up with some money. So we have the opportunity to use the state's money to help pay for it. It just seemed like it was a little quicker than we wanted it to be. We were hoping for maybe another year, but because the money has to be spent, we fully kind of just push go.
We also told the team, and I think you can ask any of the 30 of them, we picked, but if this is not right, we will give the money back and go down fighting. Like, we will stand up against the state and say, you're not going to pick our curriculum if this is not the right one. I was fully expecting to have to fight and was totally like,
and at the beginning of the
each time
pilot,
they came forward, they were like, actually, I think the second grade, they can wave because they're in the audience. The second grade at Paint Creek said, we will quit if we don't move forward with this. Like, that's how passionate that they became, because the more that we have taught it, but I will also give compliment to the lift on this curriculum. They kind of pushed that under the rug a little bit. The amount of work that they had to do to completely change their philosophy and the way that they were teaching was enormous. hours and hours and hours at first, and it's getting easier, so they've started to forget how hard it was in the first months. But there were many tears, which are now cheers. Like, they definitely like shifted, but it was a really big lift, and it's a really hard. So I don't want you to think it's like, oh, it's all in one place, it's gonna be easy. Like, it's paying off, and kids are growing, and that's why we want to move that way, but it's not really good.
Other questions or comments? Jeff, sorry.
Thanks for calling at me. And thank you to the team. It's a lot of work. So you said 150 hours for the people running the pilot. How many hours do you think the rest of the teaching staff will need around the district to be well-versed in this program?
Well, the 150 hours is not on the program. The 150 hours is a letters program. It's all about the science of research, science of reading research. So that's what that program is. And that's just to give the team the background knowledge in order. But the teachers have already gotten through Kate, when we had the 35J grant, we had every teacher go through the science of reading training. So they've gotten some basics, but this was really just to build their knowledge.
I think every PD day for the next 2 years.
Yeah, it's gonna be this. It's kind of what we did with Bridges, right? For elementary, for the last 2 years, every PD day has been focused on the implementation of Bridges. We would do the same thing with this and support the teachers as best we can. Each grade level has a team on teams so that they can pose questions and the pilot teachers can answer them. The pilot teachers put stuff in there for them, resources in for the teachers. So we kind of, having learned what we did with Bridges, we know what works well, that we will duplicate as we go forward. And we will kick it off, if you approve it, in May.
And I think also, we've already had teachers coming to us, am I too late? Can I sign up for that 150-hour training? And I'm happy to send the link. The state still is paying for that training. And in the last couple of days, it sounds like there's even more literacy legislation kind of in the House right now, talking about teacher education. That's what they're talking about. They're talking about trying to find ways to get letters mass across the state. But we already have that's the 30 teachers on the pilot team are trained already. Myself and all of the coaches are already trained. And we have other individual teachers who weren't on the pilot who've done the training. So we actually have a huge chunk of people that have already taken it on.
My favorite slide was the connections across the grades. Like, I loved seeing that visual. Because, that, especially K through 5, when half the time they're like, you know what I mean? So I just think it's really great to see that, and that everything gets revisited was something that jumped out at me also. I wanted to ask, and this is just for anyone to answer, what do you feel like, because we're currently teaching our curriculum, the biggest difference from what we do now to this?
I would say the very biggest difference is that we've all mentioned that the learners are changing. When I first started teaching, it was very different, almost 20 years ago. Kindergarten looked a lot different, like there were naps. We don't do that. So things have changed, evolved, gone on and on and on. Mm-hmm. What started happening is that things kept getting pushed down, 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 down. Without those time for that support, content, right? So in kindergarten, it was like, what? We have people coming in going, this is not kindergarten, what do you mean? Now, it's like that pendulum that swings, right? And now, we're going back to a developmentally appropriate practice. We're getting the fine motor skills in there. We're getting the language skills, because our precious nuggets, they don't have them. Like we said, speaking in complete sentences. And I keep saying and I was about to say, my kids don't say but I do. So there are so many things that are so different. It's very child-centered, child-focused. We move quickly through so kids don't get bored. For example, when I teach, I'm moving throughout the room. Like, everyone's facing a different direction. every 5-10 minutes. Maybe we're standing up. Today, we were doing a rain dance, so I'm sorry if it starts raining. Just because, right, rain would be warm.
Maybe 50, so.
But, okay, good. So we'll do it again tomorrow. So we were doing a rain dance. But it's very developmentally appropriate, and it honors who kids are. And that's really the biggest thing I'm seeing. So they're taking that time to literally hold like a piece of chalk, a hunk of, and doing this. Or crossing the midline across, which is important for brain development. And these kids have never done that before. So it's really exciting to give them those experiences that we know that they needed, but we were trying to fit so much in there. And now it's concise, it's direct, and we're able to do more quicker because we start so slow, like Lori said. And that's really the biggest difference between the two that I've noticed in my classroom. The confidence level is through the roof. Like, they're so confident. People will walk into the room. Today, Beth Bruce walked in and they're like, oh, hello. And I shake with my right hand, right? So there's a confidence because we have these, the building that background knowledge is those cooperative experiences and the cooperative learning experiences that I think this program offers that we didn't have in the past, where it's all embedded in to make sure that the teachers who maybe don't have an early childhood degree or something like that, it's right there so that they can also learn.
It does. I was going to add on to that.
Yeah.
So one of the things, because I've taught second, third, and fourth, is I'm like, why can't kids write a complete sentence grammatically correct? What is happening? And in second grade, that's finally happening because everything is intentional. Grammar is built in. The mechanics of how to write a complete sentence, the subject, the predicate, everything is being cycled through over and over again, and the kids are retaining it. Like at the beginning of the year, kids were writing big block letters, random capitals, all that. Now there's no random capitals. There's a capital at the beginning. They are capitalizing only proper nouns. They're abbreviating. They're adding, they're learning all the different types of just everything. It's all coming together. And it's all legible, their handwriting's improving. And I think that's wonderful to see because even the parents notice that, oh, my kid's finally writing neatly and it's in complete sentences and it's spelled correctly because they're learning. My kids have these individual code charts, so every time they learn a spelling pattern, this week we were learning the tricky Y, and I know Kate has a thing about the tricky word, but the tricky Y spelling. So the Y can make different sounds. So they learned that the Y can make the E sound at the end, like in baby. They learned that the Y can make the I sound, the short I, like in myth. They learned that the I can make the I sound. So they are also sorting. So they have a list of words and they have to sort which type of sound is the Y making. So, and they're spelling those words correctly. They have weekly spelling lists. And it's just to reiterate things that they learned weeks ago to see if they've retained it. The other thing is it's whole group instruction, which is huge because all the kids are learning the same thing at the same time. And then they have, and we have, when I tell you we don't have to plan anything on our end, I mean, they have activity books for every single skill thing. So they have an activity book for each unit. They have, we have no copies to make other than the assessments. And all the materials that that they provide us, we don't have to supplement anything. It's all built in. So they're constantly getting a chance to master those skills that they're being taught each day. So, yeah. I think that's something else.
Thank you.
Oh,
go ahead, sorry.
That's okay. So, we've talked about this in curriculum committee. Kate, when you first came to us with this, you stated that you felt like what we had was meeting the science of reading, but that you wanted to see some shoring up of our K2 phonics. And so when I'm looking at this book here, am I reading it correctly that phonetical or these types of things end and it's not in grade 2? Am I So,
Oh, sure, okay.
just to get an understanding of how far it goes and, yeah.
Yeah,
'cause
so.
I know that was a concern.
Okay, so Lori kind of alluded to it a little bit. 44 phonemes, 150
Right, yeah.
spellings. What you're probably looking, phonemic awareness, phonics, phonology, those are in that like K2 kind of realm. And then when you get into the older grades, it shifts. So now what you'll see is more phology, more grammar. So it's continued,
Okay,
but it's connected to the topic. So for example, when they're learning about ancient Rome, Sarah gave the example of all the vocabulary, all the phonics, all the grammar, it's all connected to the topic, where in the younger grades, it's in isolation. It's two separate chunks of time. This does a much better job
Okay.
with the phonics, and they hit a couple keywords, and one was repetition, systematic, intentional. That's what we were missing, because in our program, it's like, maybe you want to take pathway A, but if your kids want to take pathway B, go here. If your kids want to take pathway C, go here. So teachers were having to make their own decision. But maybe you made the wrong decision. Like, you were using your assessment data to keep choosing your own adventure. So it was all there. It's just, it really relied on teacher knowledge to be able to do it.
Right.
And time.
right.
An insane amount of time, which is one of the reasons why there's lots of smiles.
So you feel confident
I
that
do.
this is filling that gap that you felt like
And
existed?
somehow.
And then some.
Somehow, we have already become an example for our county. We have hosted visitors, even though I said you shouldn't come. We have only been trying for 3 months. We've hosted visitors from Bloomfield. We are hosting visitors from Portland. We've been on conference calls with Forest Hills. Rochester's come. The company actually now has met with us, the vice president met with us, because we give such detailed feedback that they're wondering if some of our teachers might be interested in continuing to give them feedback. Danielle Carroll, who's one of our first grade teachers, sent 6 pages of typos from one of the books. And they said that they appreciated her so much, not only would they correct them, but they'll resend the books out to our first grade teachers. So we're already kind of causing a stir with like what we're up to. That is why the page numbers match. Yeah.
Thank you.
Scott.
It's very refreshing to see the passion and excitement from our experts. I just have one question that's kind of money-based, is you were talking about materials. As far as, is this all electronic, or is it actual books, or what's the deal?
All of it. So, so kids have workbooks, kids have readers, then the teacher's manuals and the electronic component. So this is the cost for the first 3 years, and then the renewal of the workbooks. After that, we were able to negotiate the boost price into our quote with a little bit of a lot of discount.
They really want us to buy it, because I think they're thinking if we do, there will be other Oakland County districts that will most likely also
Well,
go
sure,
that
we're
way.
awesome.
Yeah.
So, we had a
So-
little more leverage this.
Yeah, so then after that, we will have to continue to buy the workbooks. We'll have an annual, in year 4,
We'll negotiate again.
we will negotiate our workbook quote.
But that's not pre-negotiated or anything, but.
No, we'll renegotiate with them during year 3. We'll renegotiate what the workbook cost would be, and then boost as well. Like, will they?
I just don't want to price ourselves out, like, because it sounds awesome and everyone's pumped up about it, and then all of a sudden in 3 years, they say, hey, you guys did great and you're killing it, and now it's $1 million just for the notebooks.
No, it will not be, it will not be.
Cool.
And I think that's key, right? We're not starting year 4 at the 945,000.
No,
It's a
typically around
fraction of
200.
It'd
that.
probably be around 200, which is typical of what we had purchased, like, for our math curriculum, when we had math expressions, it was about what we were paying for the workbooks anyway. It's also not just a workbook, it's the readers, you have to, every 3
They
years.
only last 3 years, and then the bindings will
Yeah.
break. They guarantee that they'll last 3 years. And then you'll need the workbooks, the boost renewal.
And readers.
And the readers. And I got around 200,000 for our current K-5.
We got it just a quote, just in,
I just
For
wanted
now.
a quote, even though it's not a negotiated quote, I wanted a quote for year 4, 5, and 6 to get a sense of what it would cost. So that, yeah, I remember the years where we couldn't pay the workbook bill. So I was like, give me the estimate. So around 200,000.
And again, they say 3 years for the readers. Maybe they'll last longer, maybe the readers don't have to be until year 4, but the workbooks will have to, or year 5, right? Maybe we can get an extra year out of them. We won't know until our teachers are using it.
And there is a cost of our current curriculum too, right? So we won't have that.
Yeah, our current curriculum doesn't really come with material, like,
We
it comes with
spend-
copies. Teachers have to make copies with it.
We do
And
spend,
books,
though,
yeah.
a lot of money on books every year to replace the books that kids are using for independent reading and book clubs. Typically something, it depends on the year, but I mean, we've spent as little as 50,000 in a year. We've spent as much as 200,000 in a year to buy books. So we won't have that cost. There is little independent reading where kids are choosing their own book, which has been the basis of our current program. There is very little of that in this program. It's very much like we read it together, like we're all gonna read the same text.
And our teachers have a strong enough libraries that they can continue that independent reading for students in their classroom without us having to purchase more books for the classroom right now.
So, I really like what you said. Many of you said, just organically, you're like meeting your students where you're at. And to me, that's just such the key of what we have as a vision for what we want, is all of our students to get the chance to learn at the level they learn. And it's great to hear that this program supports it. And Emma, when you were saying, and there's engaging activities that keep them engaged so the teacher can teach in small groups and all of that coming together. So, but the specific question that I have that hasn't been asked, I'm gonna build on the budget question. So if we received this money last year, I'm looking to you, Andrea, or Heidi, is that something that, how would that have impacted our statement last year? Would that have been revenues received last year, or was it deferred until we'll recognize that revenue this year?
Well, we actually got it this fiscal year because the grant, we had to apply in July.
Okay, because.
So we really got it this fiscal year, have to spend it, right? So I should have clarified that. I said last year,
Yeah,
but
'cause
I
it
was
said
thinking it was
received
summer.
spring,
Yes,
and
we
spring-
didn't get the money till summer.
Yeah, July 1st being a huge date in education.
Yes,
So if it
yes.
came in,
came in after July
So the revenue
1st.
will be in this school year. Was the other 331,000 contribution, is that something that we need to pay, are we paying the full 945,000 this year? Or you said that's a 3-year cost. Is the rest of that 331,000 gonna be hit this fiscal year or spread over the next 2?
Spread.
Okay. So then we can work that into our budget for future years.
Correct.
So the budget that we approved that was amended last week has all the money for this school year that needs to be spent. It would have had this grant in that amended budget and the money that we would be spending against that grant and any other local contribution. So it was covered in our approved budget.
Correct, yes.
That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
I think, Kate, we talked about this in curriculum committee. When people hear the science of reading, they get scared because of a podcast that I have listened to. And, people think, oh, you don't do phonics. And part of that podcast, it was people talking about how it was just all, look at the pictures and figure out the words. This is not that, right? Because we talked about it a ton, right? There's phonics, it's a little bit of everything. Right. So.
Danielle knows how to get me talking. But I know we can't be here all night. Okay, but, no, so basically what you're referring to, there is a shift in the way that we're teaching kids to read. So some of your children may have learned to read by repetition, by guessing, by looking at the pictures. And this is what makes it kind of like science of reading is the focus on decode and learn the code, right? That's the big shift, is that decode and learn the code, which that's why when Heather said, you said we needed a new phonics, that was what was wrong. Like, we could have checked the boxes for every other element of that program and said, yes, were science of reading, but not that phonics code. The second thing is that the actual company, Teachers College, did not apply to be in the Michigan Science of Reading list. So even though we really felt that it was mostly aligned, they didn't take that step to apply. So it was really off the table for us. Like, it wouldn't meet the legislation's needs.
Thank you. I just wanted to clear, because like I said, there's a lot of feelings surrounding when we hear science of reading. You know, what that means and how it's different now. Any other questions? Thank you so much, everybody,
you.
for being here. We greatly appreciate it.
You don't have to stay.
Yeah, you've heard it before. You don't have to stay. Okay. And with that, we have public participation related to action items on the agenda, which we have none. So moving right on to strategic area discussion items, governance, superintendent's update.
Okay, starting first, legislative update. Just a couple of things that I wanted to highlight that is out there currently. There is a 3-bill package, House Bill 5310 to 5312, that would require all traditional public school districts to participate in interdistrict schools of choice. This is just beginning. The package would mandate participation in interdistrict choice for all districts, require districts to publicly report available seats and enrollment data by grade and building, standardize enrollment timelines and acceptance procedures, and limit district discretion to capacity-based denials. This is a
flashback.
Yes.
This is from 2013.
Yeah, we've heard this game before because
Went
districts
to
will
testify against it.
literally open up classroom door, a wall between two class. Oh, that's only one classroom. We can't take any more kids. I mean, come on, this can be manipulated in districts. It's not worrisome to us because we'll still be able to bring in the number of students that we want.
Yep, it's just, again, and there is a lot of opposition, so, but this is something that is.
Say the number again.
What was that?
Say the number again.
House Bill 5310 to 5312. And then the other thing this evening that I wanted to point out and happily report is that there is new legislation regarding cell phone use in schools, starting in the fall, which, so we will double check to make sure that we have all of the requirements, that we are meeting the law, but I am pretty certain that, as you are well aware, we were ahead of the game on this one, and so, that shouldn't be too big of a change for us at all, so. Those are the two big things that stood out to me this week legislatively. Did you have anything in addition, Birgit?
I don't, but we have an OCSBA GRC meeting next week, a week from tonight, and I will, next time around, catch up with you.
Okay, sounds good.
What specifically did the cell phone legislation, like what's it trying to do specifically?
Basically, it is for districts that do not have cell phone policy guidelines.
Okay.
No cell phones in the classroom. They're under certain circumstances that they can be used, but it really is really close to what we have.
Okay, great.
So, yes, yep. Okay, regarding the 2018 bond update, as you recall, we will begin work on CIRC, the demo of the gym, as well as the drive between, or I should say the roadway between Scripps and CIRC. That is something you will start to see work beginning over this midwinter break. Today, I had the opportunity to meet with Phases and Learning Options staff at CERC to let them know when they return next week from midwinter break, there will be a section of the building that will look a little bit different because, again, we're prepping to begin that work. So that work will be started next week with, of course, the idea of the work finishing by the time school starts. So that will include the demo of the CERC gym as well as the reworking of the roadway between CERC and Scripps. As well, there will be playground equipment that will be added and replaced at Paint Creek. So that is in process. We're just now starting, right, to look at the different things that need to be replaced and starting to look at that. But the goal will be that that will be finished by the time school starts in the fall. And then we did study today high school roofing and paving. And so we will be doing as much of that as we possibly can as well. So that is in regards to the 2018 bond work. That is starting. And then, any questions on that?
Yeah.
Yes, yes. It has been rough, yes. And then, talking about future bond planning. As you know, we did conduct a survey to our community from November 24th through December 14th. It was via SurveyMonkey. The link was shared out across the districts to gather basically feedback regarding the November 25 bond failure. This is the demographics here, so you can see 1,681 stakeholders were surveyed. 96.5 of those were district residents, with current parents being 56%, community 37%, past parents 21%, and staff 10%. 70% voted in the November 2025 election of those demographics. As part of this survey, I want to bring out some highlights. One of the things that this survey asked were reasons of support for the bond. And so there were three things that really stood out, of which people who supported the bond: staff or parents who would directly benefit, those that saw a need for projects improving student opportunity, and then those that just believe that strong schools equal strong home value. So those are the top three reasons for support. And then we also took a look at the top three reasons for opposition. The first one being the total bond amount was too high. If you recall, it was $272 million. There were concerns regarding taxes, even though it was a tax decrease. But I do think that there was some confusion regarding that. And then the other reason for opposition was there was not agreement with one or more of the specific projects on the list. We also asked what were the most supported projects on the list. And so the ones that stood out there were career-ready lab spaces at the high school, continuing security and infrastructure updates, special education improvements district-wide, and replacing of aging buses. And then we looked at the most opposed projects. Those were athletic improvements, adding early childhood classrooms, gymnasium renovations at Carpenter and Stadium Drive, and then transforming the CERC. The survey also asked several questions regarding finances, and there were several things that stood out here that, again, we're using this information to form us going forward. Really looking at transparency versus clarity. Several made the request of easier explanations of things, shorter, maybe one-page visuals. There was confusion about the tax impact and the duration. There was quite a bit of misinformation that was out as well. And then there is a desire for ongoing financial education. So it did come out in the survey that, and we have said this before, that school financing is very complex and difficult for many to understand. However, I feel that from this survey, there are some areas and some ideas that I think will inform us and help us going forward to try to help simplify how schools are funded and provide more information to our community. We also asked stakeholders what they thought about communication methods, what works for them. So in regard to parents and guardians, in this bond round, they received information primarily through the district parent square, the website, and social media. They prefer to receive information from their teacher and principal communication, which we did take advantage of some of that, but you see that, and which we know that usually there's a lot of communication, right? A lot of people getting different kinds of emails, social media, et cetera. But if you receive something from your teacher or principal, usually that's going to be one of the ones that you look at first. In regard to our community members, we sent mailings regarding bond information, used community social media groups and the district website. This I found very interesting. They prefer mailings to the home. And so that is something, like I said, that we will lean into more moving forward. Looking at moving forward for our next try regarding the bond, we did look at our next options. And you'll see here that our first option would be in May, which, deadlines have already passed. That's a extremely heavy lift. So we will not be recommending that. August, you will see that we would have to have a treasury meeting finalized with the scope of the projects by March. Again, that's a real tight time frame. The board would have to approve and call the election in May. I really feel we need time for community engagement with the next steps, which I will talk a little bit more about. The other thing with going in August, I really do feel that a summer campaign is very difficult. Families are not engaged. That is, in my book, family time. So it would be, I think, very hard making sure that families had the information that they needed. And then also in August, there are already multiple things that would be on the ballot. So that could become a little bit confusing. Which brings us to November. November does provide an adequate project prep timeline with and including community input. The June Treasury meeting would be held with a July election reasonable timeline. The election already on the ballot, so there's no cost for a special election. And there is anticipation of a large voter turnout because of the state and national races at that time. So as you will see, Cabinet is recommending November 3rd, 2026 bond proposal for our district. The rationale for that November 3rd, again, it is a general election, so higher voter turnout. There would be no election cost to our district. I do feel that is a time of year that families are engaged. It's more the beginning of the school year. A few months of close attention, right, to school issues. And then, looking at post-August, other education and township measures on the August ballot just make things difficult. So again, that is our rationale for recommending November 2026. You'll see here that there is a draft action plan included as well, and I say draft because it is not complete. These are ideas, and feedback that we took from the survey. However, we will continue to get ideas. But you'll see here with the proposal of going in November for our next try, we would work February through April to gather feedback on projects and proposals from stakeholders. One of the things that I really want to highlight, if the board does support this plan, we would like to have a community engagement event on February 28th. This workshop, so to speak, would be, it is a Saturday. It would be 9 to noon. The whole purpose of this day would be to gather stakeholders from our community together, review the major highlights within the last bond, and work to prioritize those projects for what would be potentially in the proposal for November. It would not, it would not be a rewrite of the whole project list, but it would be taking a deep dive into the projects that have already been identified and really prioritizing them within that list based on what our stakeholders say. So again, if the board, is in support of this plan this evening, it would not be a formal approval to put the proposal on the ballot in November, but what I'm asking is support to move forward with the planning, because I do feel strongly that we need to gather more community input, and so that would need to start right away in order to meet all of our timelines that we would need for November. And the other thing is, if the board is in support, information for this February 28th would be going out tomorrow, because we also realize that February 28th is right around the corner. So we would be sending out emails to all of our families, to the staff, posting it on social media, and asking our parents as well to please, send this to anybody in the community. If one is interested in being part of this event, it would be by application. And the reason for that is we do have a limited number. However, it's 100, so I feel like that's a pretty good number. But the reason for the application is to make sure that we are getting a cross-section of community members. So we need to have parents that represent multiple buildings, multiple grade levels, right? Multiple different groups, so anywhere from, band, robotics, athletics. The other thing we need to make sure is that we have community members that do not necessarily have students that are currently attending school. However, we need to hear from them as well. So the purpose of the application is, again, to make sure that we get a great cross-section of people and that it's just not one pocket that we're pulling from. Then you'll see in April and through August that we do have some state and county proposal and ballot meeting dates and some timelines that we would have to meet. And then August through November is community interaction and proposal information that would be shared with the community. So that's where, again, it would look, similar to our timeline from last year. This would be the months that we would really start pushing out information to our community. And I believe that was it. So that is, again, survey highlights, the recommendation that we are making, and ideas for a draft action plan.
Just a clarification from the beginning of your statement. You said, I think it was a little over 1,600 people were surveyed. It's actually 1,600 that responded. The survey was wide to anyone who
Absolutely, yes. I'm sorry if yes.
I just wanted to clarify, so.
No, it was sent to, to the whole community, right.
Exactly, and your summary then that you presented just now was based on those 1,600 people plus that chose to respond.
Correct. We had people, we did the survey, so yes, it was the 1681 that responded through the survey that, helped us prepare this moving forward. There were some people, several people that I also had personal conversations with as well. That they may have filled out the survey, I don't know. But I did meet with quite a few people as well to gather their feedback.
Well, I really like the November date because we'll have the highest participation, especially statewide and national elections and so forth. I also really appreciate getting such an emphasis on getting the community, not just parents, involved. And that's something the community, just as a reminder to them, the schools are theirs as well, even if they don't have kids in the schools. This is a treasure for all of Lake Orion, and we want to keep it great. So yeah, we definitely want feedback, even if you aren't totally on board with everything. We want to hear from you. So please reach out.
Yeah, I think that's a very important point, is that we really need to figure out how to engage our community that does not necessarily have students attending school every day. That is a critical point. And one of the things that stood out in the survey was the preferred mailings. So then we started thinking about that a little bit further. And the Orion Review happened to come to mind. So we started talking about the Orion Review, and we just started talking to people to see. It is mailed to every home, as you well know, in Lake Orion. And so we just started conversations as to, are people really reading the Orion Review? And what we found out was, yes. Yes, they are. So even from my student advisory council, we asked them, does anybody get the Orion Review? Oh yeah, every week. Do you read that? Yes, they do look at it. And I think a major point in that, when we really started, because that kind of took us a little bit by surprise. But when I look at the review every week, I cut out the pictures of the kids and some little things. And when we really reflected on that, so much of it is kids, if you really look in the Orion Review, and that is really speaking, I think, to a lot of homes. And so from there, one of the things that we decided to do is I will be writing a column once a month, not once a week, once a month for the Orion Review. Again, to highlight the different things happening in our districts, anywhere from, initiatives to accomplishments to some of our challenges. Again, trying to find ways to engage all of our stakeholders, regardless of whether they have current students or not.
That's really interesting, because I was going to follow up on if mailings correlated with the Lake Orion Review. And what's especially interesting to me, Marion did many years ago, probably in 2014 or so, hired Epic MRA to do a survey, a community-wide survey. And it showed that their number one source of news, and especially about schools, was the Lake Orion Review. But what's different is that wasn't delivered to every household at that point, but it is today, so that's pretty significant. And it was, exactly, exactly.
Our first column will be tomorrow, right? Today.
Yeah.
Today.
It'll show up in your mailbox tomorrow, but it'll be published today.
Yep.
So, and just to be clear, it's clear to me, and I just want to say it out loud, that what you're proposing here is to move forward with a bond, but you haven't given the specifics of it because you want community input to create the specifics of the bond, correct?
That is accurate. So that would be part of the activity on February 28th with the stakeholder group, is taking a look at all of the projects that were identified for the bond, but prioritizing those. So are there ones that, the community feels are absolutely need to be done, and are there projects that they don't feel need to be done?
So there's room at the table for a lot of voices.
Yes. It would be amazing to have 100 people.
I hope we do.
So.
Send your emails to H. Mercer?
Yeah.
That's what
It'll be
the question is. How do people,
they will be.
there's going to be a formal communication, but you mentioned looking for volunteers. So can you expand on that because, so that you don't end up getting, how will people express their interest in being
A part of it.
a part of this meeting?
Yeah, they will receive an email tomorrow. It'll also be on social media.
Who is they?
The community, okay, our parents, which is part of the problem that we're having, which we have right in this communication. We do have some that write some emails from not non-community members, but yeah, that do not have kids in school. But we do not have access to everybody that does not have kids in school. So part of this is in that communication. It is saying, please share this information, forward it on your social media, through your email. So, and then there's an application process
But
that
to be
says,
specific, will it be a website link where they put their information in? Will it be an email they need to send, just so people can be aware, so we can
there will be
aware?
there will be a link, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, a link within this communication that you click on, you fill out the application, and it will be sent to,
So it's a link, so if people on other forms of social media, et cetera, can just take this link, it can be pasted there, then people will
Correct.
have the link
Yes.
that will take them to the Lake Orion Schools website specific page to put the application in. Have you determined the specifics, because you're gonna need some time to determine how long before? If it's the 28th that we're doing that meeting, that's a Saturday, is it sometime that week before?
it has it right in there, and I believe we said that people will know by the 18th.
Okay, so.
And we are asking, please, to fill out this, in order to, if you're filling out the application, you need to be able to make sure that you're able to make the February 28th, 9 to
So the
12.
information will go out tomorrow, but just
Yep.
to let everybody know, if you are interested, it will require pretty quick turnaround
It will.
response. That you'll need to have it in by
Yep.
next Tuesday, so that on Wednesday, the district can evaluate who has expressed an interest.
Correct.
So I had a few questions. Regarding just because we're on that right now, will there be an additional avenue for people who don't make the cut to provide feedback? So essentially, let's say you don't get 100, you're getting a cross-section of 25 people, and you're going to ask them, what are their priorities and projects? It doesn't feel like that would be enough. So is there going to be another opportunity similar to the survey we sent out of
There will be some type of survey that they will be able to give additional information, yes, if
Like
they are
the
not
entire
able to
district.
participate, or would just prefer, that method.
Okay, fair enough. And how would you say, what's different about this time around as far as, the community input than the prior bond? Like, what do you feel like is going to be stronger this time around, or for better would be the word, but just what do you see as a different plan that you feel like will make this one successful with, as far as making sure we're getting all of that information? Because I feel like we did do some.
We did do some of this. I think we're casting the net larger.
Okay.
We're starting earlier with the community. The other thing is, we're learning from our mistakes, and we're going on information that has been provided within the survey, the feedback that we received, in the survey, which, really was very helpful.
Yeah.
So.
You mentioned, or in the survey, there was misinformation, that you mentioned that word.
Yep.
Can you speak to how we will combat the misinformation this time around? I've been consistent about my message regarding the social media groups. Just curious if we're going to be doing anything different than what we did the first time around as far as trying to combat some of that.
Yes, we will. All of the specifics are not figured out to the nth degree yet, because we are working with GMB on that. And yes, we do realize there was a lot of misinformation that was put out specifically through social media. That's just not something, that's, as you well know, not
It's
just.
an organism in and of itself.
Yeah.
Right.
Which, don't get me started on social media. Part of it might be a little education. I'm going to be honest, to our community, maybe some of the same education that we're sharing with our students.
Right.
In regards to being able to sort and being able to think, if, right, the information sounds even common sense wise, or maybe I should ask a question, or maybe I should go to the source. So there needs to be some of that as well. Right? We digest a lot of information, but all of that information, as we know, is not accurate. So some of that, I think, is reminding people as well, and a little education, and finding different ways to communicate so that we're making sure that we, again, reach a broad number of people. And it's just not, we're not just relying on social media, but also encouraging people to come to the source and get the accurate information.
And one of the, trying to find it here, it was something about fact sheets or something like that that you mentioned in regards to like school finance. Is it further up?
Yeah.
Further down. Anyway.
Yeah.
Here, okay, yeah, so trying to, visual one-page explanations requested, those types of things. So could those be things that are readily available, say for someone like me to save and put in a thread?
Absolutely.
And just say, hey, like, so this is how school finance works, and just pop it in there.
Yes.
That type of thing. And, because I do think, and we've discussed before, there are a lot of people who comment, but there are a lot of people who read the comments. And so for there to be some sort of factual information. So I'm really excited to see what comes out of that.
Yes.
To share that it's like succinct and factual and no room for gray area there.
Yeah, and I think we need to have a variety of things varying from, do you want just simplified information, right? Just give me the very basics, all the way to, I would like an in-depth learning of school finance. So I do think
YouTube.
I do think it has to be a continuum. But I really think that regardless of this bond, we need to get people engaged in learning about school finance and school funding. As you know, the past 2 years regarding, K-12 public education budget has not been good. And I don't know what this year is going to bring, but we need people to understand how this works. And so I think that's a critical piece that will extend probably well beyond. I mean, we knew that we needed to do this anyway.
Right.
So this will be something that will go on, even after the bond.
And then I just had one more question about timeline. So in order to go for November, when do those pieces have to be done and in, as far as like the Treasury application? When do those have to be finalized? When will it come back to us?
Yeah, that is, so that will be July. June 23rd, I'm sorry, June 23rd. Yep, is the Treasury meeting. So that's when, the Treasury meeting is on June 23rd, and then the board meeting on the 24th is when we would ask for adoption of the resolution for the pre-qualification application.
To submit it.
Yep.
Right, that's all I had.
Others? Jake.
Had a procedural question, and I'm going to bring it up in the open, that if the board is invited to this meeting on the 28th, I want an opinion from council. Does that need to be a publicly posted meeting? Because if a quorum of the board is there and we are openly discussing, even though decisions won't be made there, it just feels to me like that needs to be a meeting, which would then mean that anybody who's not invited would be able to attend, much the way they attend this meeting. They would not have the ability to address the board, but they could watch all of the proceedings, and then they could make public comment at the end. But that's what we did with our strategic plan. That meeting was open to the public on February 5th, 2022, right in that room over there. But I just want to make sure that we don't run into an OMA violation, because really we're not supposed, a chance gathering that's a social this just feels like it needs to be a public meeting if the board is going to attend and a quorum of us are there discussing district
I'm available.
business. I'd rather err on the side, but
I might not make the application cut. Let me see. I have to apply first. You said February 28th?
Yes. So we will double check that.
All right.
it feels like it would need to be that. And then on the whole topic, are we going to go for a November bond? Who knows? But this is the right first step. Let's have that community meeting on the 28th, get feedback from the community, start to see where this goes. So it's not that it's absolutely, in my mind at least, that it absolutely is going to happen. But I do appreciate the fact that we're doing more to engage the community right up front.
Others? I'm also assuming the community meeting would be held at the administration building.
That's correct.
Okay.
A nice open room upstairs.
Room, right, exactly. Right, fancy. Anything else?
I think that's all I have.
I think that's all. Okay, and then last on the governance piece is the board self-assessment committee report. I have it in two different notebooks, so forgive me. The board self-assessment committee met. Usually when the board self-assessment committee meets, we kind of do two things. We do the board operating procedures, and we also go over our survey results. As you all know, you did not receive a survey, so we did not do that. Our main focus was honestly the board operating procedures. And just so you know, at our end of February workshop, all of this, we're going to have a big board operating procedures talk there too, because some of the things we discussed were just changing the board operating procedures because either we don't do those things anymore, more calendar type things. But also just looking at different topics such as like committees, like how we choose committees. We talked about the social contract. As we all know, we have not done that in quite some time, so having that discussion as well. Talking about the superintendent evaluation process or how, that committee operates. Trying to see in two different places, like board self-assessment. And just when, talking about the board self-assessment itself and that calendar and that timeline, do we want to tie them together, like board operating procedures and the self-assessment, or separate them so we're not, just getting, where do we want to put these things, right? Do we want to put them more beginning of the year, end of the year, things of that nature? So it was more going through our operating procedures and looking at things like the committees, and we're going to have that very large discussion on February, I think 25th is the date, so.
Are we doing a survey this year?
We will.
Okay.
That was going to be one of the topics, is timing. Just going forward when we think timing would be appropriate for a survey, and, closer to the end of the year, closer to the beginning of the year, because obviously in election years, things change, right? So when that would be an appropriate time to do that. So. Did I miss anything, Scott?
The organizational,
Yeah.
what that looks like, and, how can that be more productive where everyone can have feedback and basically have an open discussion about that rather than just all trying to figure it out on our own. So I thought that was kind of an important thing. But I think you hit everything else.
Awesome.
Question about the board operating procedures, is that something that, is there homework before this? Are you expecting us to have all, gone through and make notes on what we think might need to be addressed in board operating procedures?
Yes, before
So come prepared.
Yes, before the next
with
meeting, yes.
Notes, suggestions, comments, et cetera.
Correct. Thank you.
1 page maximum, Jake.
I'm going to print out all 16 and just put my comments in the margin.
more to come on that. That's kidding. But yes, thank you for that, Jake. Please do. And I'm sure Julia will get those out to everyone again, and, you know, so everyone can, between now and sometime in the very near future.
Yes, we did make some recommendations in that committee meeting, so I can send you what's already drafted for proposed revisions, and then you can come prepared to support or change or add additional items.
Thank you. I think that was all on that. All right, with that, we'll move to student achievement with Drew.
Actually, have no further updates tonight.
Look at that. Wow. Okay, human resources. What do you got? No,
It won't be that brief, but I will be brief, I promise. We have 2 contracts expiring June 30th this school year with our secretarial group and our Ask Me Childcare group. So negotiations will begin with our secretarial group at the end of the month. And then shortly after spring break, we'll begin negotiations with our Ask Me Childcare group. Staffing plans are starting to take shape for next school year with the goal to start posting for some of the known certified staff vacancies around spring break. So that season will officially be coming into play soon. We're excited to kick off our second administrative leadership cohort here in less than 2 weeks on February 24th. So excited with that group. And then as Mark mentioned in his highlights, we have been and will continue to enjoy all of our staff of the year at each of the buildings as we honor and recognize a teacher of the year, ancillary staff of the year, and support staff of the year. And that is all.
Okay. And we also had the superintendent evaluation committee report. I do apologize, I did not ask of those on the committee. Who is it, Jake?
I can do it. So the big one, the couple, you'll see things in your packet. So the first one was the timing of the superintendent evaluation. Being an election year, we feel it's fair to the superintendent to have the evaluation completely wrapped up before the election occurs, so that there's no potential that whatever happens in an election could influence someone's evaluation. It's just fair. So the way the calendar is laid out, we would, on September 30th, we would do the meeting in closed session where Heidi would present the evidence of her completion. And then it also calls for a special meeting October 21st, where we would discuss, where after we've all put in our individual findings, we come together as a group and discuss and attempt to reach consensus. The key to that is it needs to be a special meeting. We can't have that before or after a regular meeting. It's not the energy level that's needed for that meeting. It isn't fair to anybody, us or Heidi, to do that before or after a regular meeting. If we can reach consensus that day, then we wrap it up. That's what has happened in most years. If that doesn't happen, then we would need to have another special meeting before our October 28th meeting to hash out and finalize what that is, so that it could be presented at our October 28th meeting, which is the last meeting before the November 3rd election, and voted on into record in that October 28th meeting. So that's the calendar that the committee is recommending that we follow. And like I say, Julie then will, if we agree to that, Julie will invite us on September 30th and October 21st if she hasn't already. Any questions about
on that
the process for how we'll do the evaluation? Then the next page was about the goals the committee discussed, and first and foremost, strategic plan is just center to what we do as an entire district. So there were a couple of specifics in there that Heidi focused on, and then one of the interesting ones is we are in year 4 of the strategic plan, so refreshing the strategic plan in year 5 so that it doesn't stay old. And all that that could be is we go through the process and it'll either show us things that need to be added to the strategic plan. Maybe our views are different, but we mentioned it earlier. It was February 2022 when we all got together. So probably in spring, sometime in first quarter of 2027, 5 years later, we'll come back, have a similar type of concept. I'm thinking that's what the board, I think we were all pretty happy with how that went down last time, and to repeat it this time would be good. Budget, we talked about, we took out a specific goal, but the goal is to maintain a budget with a surplus that increases the fund balance percentage. And that is sort of a math equation that as your revenue number gets bigger year over year, your fund balance needs to grow, because if you don't run a big enough surplus as your revenue is growing, your fund balance percentage will decrease. So instead of calling out some specific number, what we said is beyond running a surplus, we want our fund balance percentage to also grow. And that seems like the fiscal management. And then providing the board more time for discussion, so that when topics come up, that we understand that there's just a chance for more open discussion before being presented something and say, can you vote on this? And I think organically that can happen in multiple ways, but it's a goal that we don't feel rushed into making decisions, and Heidi recognizes that and is going to support it.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you for all of that. We appreciate it. All right. That will turn to finance and operations, and Andrea.
Thank you. I've got a few things on the agenda tonight. First being in your packet for review and approval is the resolution authorizing the 2026 school building and site bonds issuance from the 2018 bond program. This resolution is for the fourth and final series of the approved 2018 bond election. The principal amount is not to exceed $14 million through unlimited tax general obligation bonds. Payoff will not be later than 20 years from the date of issuance. It will be via a competitive sale, which is a public offering of the bonds, through a competitive bidding process. That sale will take place on May 13th and close around June 10th. Any questions on that resolution? Question?
I saw the maturities were called out in there, and I think that's just an interesting point, that because of the way that service is levied, that people hear 20 years, and this is part of the financial education we'll give, that actually, because of the way the money's coming into the district, we're going to pay off almost a third of it after, or a quarter of it, about $3.5 million, within 1 year. So people hear, oh, you're selling these bonds. It's actually a series of bonds with maturity dates over 14 years, but interestingly enough, a significant portion is paid off sooner. So in the community, oh, you issued another 14 million. Well, every year we're paying things off. So it will actually pay off more debt next year than the 14 million that we're issuing. So, I think that's the key to this education that we were talking about in Finance Committee, that we need the public to understand that just the headline number doesn't mean that's sitting there, that it's not like your mortgage where they structure the debt very specifically so that we pay it off as quickly as possible, paying the least amount as interest as possible.
Yes, thank you. Okay. Second, included in the board pack is a first reading of a county enhancement millage resolution. This is also known as a regional enhancement millage, so if you hear those words, those are synonymous. This is being brought to the board as LOCS is a member of the Oakland County Intermediate School District, also known just as Oakland Schools to us. An enhancement millage is a funding mechanism to supplement the per pupil funding to provide competitive educational opportunities. It must be proposed and voted on countywide by school districts, which also includes public school academies. This resolution does not represent support or opposition to the proposal. It ensures that our voters can decide by allowing the proposal to be included on the August 4th, 2026 ballot. The proposal is for 1.5 mils for a period of 6 years. This would raise an estimated $126 million by Oakland schools to be distributed to the public schools and academies on a per-pupil basis. This would approximate $728 per pupil annually, which for LOCS would equate to approximately $5 million based on today's pupil count. For reference, neighboring Macomb and Wayne counties have enhancement millages, along with 7 other counties across the state. As we have multiple bond millage discussion, obviously, items this evening, I want to clarify that this is separate from the November 2026 bond discussion that Heidi had, and as well as the previous resolution that we just discussed, which is from the 2018 bond proposal. As a reminder, this is the first reading tonight, so it will not be voted on until the February 25th board meeting. Any questions?
Questions?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that it's clear that what's being asked of the board is, do we want to put this before the voters? This is neither us recommending that this proposal be passed or not passed. It's simply a procedural activity, and the vote that we would be making is, do we want to have democracy in action? So nothing about our vote does anything to cause this to be more or less likely to pass. It simply moves it one step closer to the county intermediate school board saying, yes, they want to put it on the ballot. So if we as a board feel that it's that we should allow our community to have a voice on this, we vote yes. If you feel that this isn't something we should even bother asking our community voters whether they want it or not, then you would vote no on this resolution.
Others? Birgit?
Well, and I think it's important to note as well, 51% of the districts within the county need to approve it for it to go to the ballot, correct?
Correct, based on our membership.
This 1.5 mils over 6 years, you said equates to about 5 million. So is it safe to say in another 6 years, we'll come again, and then another, like essentially, if districts are gonna get used to this, that it's something that's gonna now be a continual ask? Like, is that what happens usually in other counties? It's essentially just something that continues and continues?
I would think so,
Yeah.
because it's either you continue with the revenue or you make adjustments
That's a big
for loss of revenue.
And
The county school board would have to decide in 6 years, if it passes, would they bring it back before the voters again? But that would be their choice of whether to present it again to the voters in 6 years.
the 5 million that could come as revenue into Lake Orion, are there any, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, is this just, we can use it on anything? Or is it more like, you have to use it on this, you have to use it on this, you have to use it on this type?
It is up to the local school district boards and administration on how that money is spent.
It's helpful.
That's what differentiates it from a bond coming through. You could actually put this towards general fund.
Correct.
To use as at your discretion. Would you just clarify in simple terms, 126 million per year that they would generate? Want to go along for the ride here, and that 5 million is us?
Yes, that's correct.
Per year?
Yes, so yes, we would get about 5 million
I just want
of
to be
that
clear.
126 million.
Property in the county, yeah.
Right, so
Mills.
just so people understand what that means, and when you think about surrounding counties that do this, like Macomb is one of them. Who else does it?
Wayne.
Wayne, that's what I thought. So it just adds to a competitive edge that they're asking if our stakeholders, all of them, think that they want to do this for our schools.
Are there any other, is it just based on FTE that we will get them, like, what is it, the calculation essentially? So, so a district that has, 2,000, a district that has 1,000, so it's a fair split. There isn't a district that's going to get more
No.
due to any other circumstance?
No. Yep.
Okay.
Strictly.
But it's also going to public school academies.
Yes.
Thank you.
Amount of money divided by number of kids, like as Birgit said, but the public school academies also are part of the student count and will get a share of this money.
Okay. So there's nothing like at risk gets more, nothing like that. It's just all across.
That's correct. Yep.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Okay, thank you. Last on the agenda is the approval for bids for the Filter First Award. And to provide a little bit of background, we actually heard about this a little over a year ago, that we knew LOCS was awarded $430,350 from a Filter First grant through the state. And for LOCS specifically, that was 70 new bottle filling stations, 59 new faucet-mounted fillers, and 250 replacement cartridges. State law requires filters as a proactive approach versus a reactive. There is nothing wrong or unsafe with the district's current infrastructure or the water itself. Water has and will continue to be tested. Therefore, the bids that you have are for the filtered water equipment that we need to purchase to support the first Filter First Healthy Hydration Initiative. The bids were developed in accordance with the district standards and specifications. The RFP was advertised in the local newspaper, the Sigma website, and the district website. Bids were received on January 13th. The request is for approval of 2 bids. One to SOS Mechanical for the single-unit bottle fillers, inline filters, and removing classroom bubblers in an amount not to exceed $253,000 even. And the second to PowerVac Service Pro for the double-unit bottle fillers for an amount not to exceed $53,475. A total of $306,475. Any questions on it?
Heather, did you have something?
Yes, so you mentioned that this was a grant that we received?
Correct.
And quite a bit, is it 441K, you said something?
430.
430. And how long will we have that grant?
We actually have to spend it by the end of this year.
Okay, and then will we continue to provide those things or likely not?
So yes, there are ongoing costs, whether it be filters in another year, 2 years.
Okay.
So there will be ongoing costs that would not be then covered by the grant at that point. And I believe it was, Wes was estimating, it could be 15, 20,000
A year?
a year.
Okay.
So
So
because it's a number of,
this large number was to put in the bigger units, so basically what will come after is just the regular sort of maintenance. There's not going to be another 430,000 that we're going to have to all of a sudden come up with in
no, correct.
10 years or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, it'll just be maintaining what we have.
Okay, thank you.
Birgit, did you have something?
Yeah, oh, so just to touch back on what you were saying, so it's mostly replacement filters that would be the future costs, that, as you said, the upkeep, right?
Correct.
But I just wanted to point out, I thought it was pretty nice that we were in partnership with Clarkson on this, so I'm hoping that got us better
Pricing.
bids in the process of that.
Yeah, yes,
And maybe in the
Correct.
future, it will as well.
yes.
Any other questions?
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Right. And that brings us to our action items. So may I please have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move that we approve the following consent agenda items. Approve payment of the December bills in the amount of $8,219,482.56. Approve minutes from the January 28th work session, the January 30th Board Self-Assessment Committee, the February 2nd Finance Committee, and the February 3rd, 2026 Superintendent Evaluation Committee meetings. Also approving out-of-state and overnight field trip requests for Oakview and Walden Hydro Dragons to Houston, Texas on April 29th through May 2nd of 2026. Also approving the LOHS Marching Band to Central Lake, Michigan on August 16th through the 23rd of 2026.
Thank you, Birgit. Is there support?
Support.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, may I please have a motion to,
Did we skip the finance committee report?
oh my, we did. Holy moly, thank you. Jake, Finance Committee.
Sorry.
We're
Just
going back to
We
prior.
accidentally skipped the
Yes.
finance.
Already
committee.
approved the minutes.
I know, we just did it.
Sorry.
This is the discussion.
Yeah,
did.
let's have the Finance Committee discussion now.
Oh, okay, that was a good one.
Yeah.
It was a
Thank
long
you.
one. Sorry.
it's okay.
I didn't want to interrupt Birgit while she was
Oh,
chatting.
no.
So we started with a debt structure discussion, which sort of alluded to that before, but Brody from PFM came and really just did a good job with Andrea explaining how debt gets structured, how millage rates get levied. So there will be decisions that need to be made about what millage rate gets levied, going forward, given our debt structure. That tied a little bit into the second piece, which was this Series 3B sale, because how that was structured, they presented some options for, how quickly do you pay that off? It does tie into different millage rate forecasts and things like that. We looked at the timelines for the forecast and the final budget, and the issue is normally we see the 3-year forecast a little earlier, but the governor isn't doing state of the state till the end of this month, and then how does that impact schools? That impacts their ability to create a forecast for not just next year, but the next 3 years. And then we did financial county comparison data. Comparisons about, was it our fund balance rate versus other districts based on pupil count and trends over time. And what was most interesting about that data is we had for us, what was a pretty significant swing in our fund balance, up last year. But there are districts in the county that are comparable to us that see their fund, and for us, oh my gosh, our fund balance rate moved by almost 2% in 1 year. Their fund balance rates move up or down by magnitudes higher of how we move. So we normally, the money we're collecting in that year, we're spending on students that year. It just, and I've looked at their transparency data, so it just gives us a comparison that we're still towards the bottom of fund balance, but it helps that we don't have these huge swings, so we don't have the fears that is our 11% going to become 7 or 6? No, because we don't run big variances in this district so far, and we do try to stay on top of it. There's a lot, the Ronald Reagan Trust But Verify. We try the best we can. We have our auditors come in, but we try to ask, I'll say, not difficult questions, but pointed questions to get a sense that are we spending money? And I think the way it shows is the way we came back through with the COVID money, that we didn't have a programming drop-off because we got too used to spending the money that was coming in. We were very intentional over time about how we spent that money, and that data just allows us to see how are we doing countywide. But the Finance Committee is comfortable on how we're doing, and that tied into the goal that we agreed with Heidi is let's not let that fund balance percentage drop. Let's do when she's developing the programming expectations and such things, it's the amount of money we have is an amount of money that doesn't allow our fund balance percentage to drop.
Thank you. Any additional questions for finance? Thank you, Susan, for catching that. I appreciate it. Okay. Now, we can move on to our next action item. May I Please have a motion to adopt the resolution for the 2026 bond issuance of 2018 bond program.
I move to adopt the resolution authorizing 2026 school building and site bonds as presented.
Thank you, Heather. Is there support?
Support.
Thank you. Any discussion? And that is a roll call vote. Yes.
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 Thank you. Motion carries. And our last action item, may I please have a motion to authorize the Filter First bid award?
I move to authorize administration to finalize and execute contracts for the Filter First project with SOS Mechanical in the amount of $253,000 and Powerback Service Pro in the amount of $53,475 for a total recommendation of $306,475.
Thank you, Jake. Is there support?
Support.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Bid has passed, bid award has passed as well. All right, that brings us to public participation for other non-action items and topics, which we have none, so recap and next steps.
Yep, I do have a few things. Approximate number on the sellout fundraiser, CKLA proficiency data, and then the Open Meetings Act for February 28th.
And as we already discussed, homework for board operating procedures.
Oh, yes.
That's on us. Okay. Okay, closing comments. Andrea.
Just congratulations to our teacher ancillary support staff that we've already had so far. That's exciting to get out to the buildings and see all of them. Happy Valentine's Day and a happy early birthday to the gentleman to my left.
Awesome. Adam.
Yeah, big thank you to the CKLA pilot committee that came out. Loved their enthusiasm as well and all the work and time that they put into the pilot. Thank you to our leadership crew that came out, and happy Valentine's Day. Happy early birthday, Mark. And Dragons all enjoy the long weekend that's coming ahead.
Thank you, Drew.
Happy birthday, Mark. No, I want to thank, the entire team, not only that was here tonight, but that has been a part of this pilot. And, I know I've shared this before, that I sometimes get to be like the proud parent of when our teachers come out, but it is really, truly amazing what they do. And as many of you mentioned, the passion that they have, it is, I have never seen a group of teachers more rooted in what's right for kids and just truly, genuinely care about our students. And so I couldn't be prouder of the work they do and just appreciative of everything that the group did here tonight.
Heidi.
All right, happy birthday, Mark. We missed an opportunity, guys.
We did, we really did.
He's a Valentine Day baby. Maybe we could have showed a picture or something, We'll have to remember that.
Right now.
But
Recap the next steps, put that on the notes for next year.
yes, exactly. One opportunity, we could get them back. We missed it. But, as Drew had stated and many others before me, the passion and dedication that was felt tonight, and many of you, you could literally feel it. And that is what we're here for. So it was refreshing to hear from our teachers and their excitement regarding, the potential of this program. And many thanks to them, because it is a lot of work and a very heavy lift to pilot curriculum. So many thanks to them and their leadership, and their commitment in this pilot, I think, was very large. The commitment, the 150 hours beforehand, then doing the pilot, and then if approved, they will be training the rest of the district. So it is a lot. So many thanks to them. And then happy Valentine's Day to everyone, and happy midwinter break. A lot of people looking forward to a nice long weekend. So that's it.
Thank you. I'm going to go old school, Jake.
Yeah, I want to say that it's not, the presentation brought the energy, and it's just great when the enthusiasm meets the need, and that's what we experienced tonight. So super excited about that, that new reading program, and happy Valentine's Day, and like I say, students, enjoy your long weekend coming up.
Scott.
Yeah, I kind of said what I wanted to say when they were here so they could hear it. So I think that a lot of times when we're going through all these things with budgets and policies and all these different things, we forget about the root of our true soldiers are the teachers. And I think that we need to empower them like this curriculum seems to do. And I think it's awesome. So thank you. Happy Valentine's Day. Happy birthday, Marky Mark.
Jeff.
Well, I want to give a kudos to our staff members of the year from around the district. And even the people who don't win awards, you still play an important part. Not everyone gets the prize, but you're doing something great for our kids, and we really appreciate that every day for all of our staff. The Amplify CKLA seems like a cool program. I just want to let Mr. Towlerton, I want to give you a reminder, I do have a minor in reading, so if I can ever be of assistance, please reach out. 1999 I got it, so a few things have changed, I understand. I have a Basil Reader collection at home, I'll check out.
Yeah, the kids don't read off stone tablets anymore, Jeff.
I want to thank our attendees for being here, including the lovely Mrs. Faber, and I'm hopeful, it has been a late night. It is late enough that we could count this as a Valentine's Day date. I could save a few bucks if you don't mind. And finally, I hope everyone enjoys this nice weather. I've already seen people in shorts and T-shirts, not these last 2 days, but we have good weather coming, and that's exciting. Thank you.
Thank you. Very good.
I'm good. Thanks for a good meeting, everyone. Happy birthday, Mark.
Susan.
Yes, I'm not sure how we follow all of that, but definitely best wishes, Mark, for your birthday. Appreciate that. Appreciate all of the teachers that were here tonight and all of those who didn't join us but participated in the pilot. Definitely could feel the enthusiasm in the room. As everyone else had said, something I also want to point out is, and I know we covered it in the meeting, but applying for that grant, that is $614,000 that we don't have to spend as a district. So really appreciate the leadership team that sought that grant, applied for that grant, and we're able to apply it to the cost of a great program. So thanks for all the work for that. Happy midwinter break. I hope everybody has a wonderful few days off. Stay safe. Thank you very much.
Heather.
Well, Adam, I have a minor in HR, in case you ever need my help. Just throwing that out there. Reading, I'm still really good at that,
I
too.
think we'd accept your help before the other help
Thank
offered
you.
tonight.
Point of order. Objection.
Let's be serious.
Why don't we just all stay in our lane?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good idea. It's a good lesson. Very apropos. Anyway, and what else? I mean, everybody covered everything. It was a really great meeting, and happy birthday, Mark. Really glad you were born, buddy.
Yes. Not a lot left to say. Happy birthday. A community, please, look for the survey or the link to participate, and hopefully we'll see the 100 people turn out on February 28th. And with that, we are adjourned.